Okay, as I have said already a few times, these channels, I have two now, maybe I'll continue to grow them because I keep on finding material that I feel like talking about. It's not just education, it's also information. So we take it from any source we can get, any reliable, credible, salient, legitimate source. So Times of India is one of the newspapers, maybe the most dominant newspaper in India, but did some detailed article on why India's big cities are going under, and then Vaishnavi Chandrasekhar, who's a good writer, writes for science and so on, wrote an article on Mumbai, specifically focused on the Mithi River, which had the massive flood in 2005 that actually killed, I think, something like 2,000 people. So she is worrying about what we have done since then. I will show that in a minute after we read this one. And we do have to remember a lot of things have been done. The early warning systems come from our side and IMD and a lot of other players in the field trying to provide early warnings. And of course there are people who are sustainability, urban design experts, and they offer a lot of advice as well. The decision makers, one of them is quoted here, have to really make the tough calls, and that's anything but easy. When we say cities should do this and do that, we have to remember retrofitting is not always easy, but even when we do retrofitting, we will need cost-benefit analysis to optimize where the retrofitting will serve the most in terms of saving lives, livelihoods, property, and so on, right? So why India's big cities are going under? Reckless development has destroyed natural rainwater outlets while failing to create systems to deal with extreme downpours. So Times of India's reporters decode the urban flooding crisis. They do a good job. They give good graphics and images. This is waterlogging across Gurgaon, which is in the Delhi neighborhood. I would say richish neighborhood, very good quality of life, standard of living, but it's getting hammered by floods a little too often. The sound of rain turns back time for Bharat Soni. Newspaper articles tend to give it a personal flavor, so we'll read it just because they are fun also. That July day from 20 years ago is vivid in his memory. He spent 2 nights stuck in his office as an unprecedented downpour left Mumbai's neighborhoods inundated for days. Now every time the city gets heavy rain, I recall the 26/7, so 2005, July 26th flooding. But little has changed in 2 decades, the former banker said. This perception always misses what happens behind the scenes. A lot of decisions, a lot of actions, a lot of hard and soft structures, etc. go on, but people want to see the results miraculously, and that always doesn't happen. Niloufar Ahmed and her family deal with the damage to their home and belongings every monsoon. Rain brings waterlogging in a relentless way, and yet they choose to stay put in Sai Layout, North Bengaluru. We can't move elsewhere, so we renovate and continue to suffer. Last year I spent 50,000 rupees on car and motorcycle repairs, the 45-year-old said. So we are jumping around in terms of, I hope this is the Mumbai flood 20 years ago. Let me just make sure, because that's what I remember. Now I'm suddenly doubting because the text jumped to Bengaluru suddenly. Yeah, so it is Mumbai, 26th July 2005. Suddenly you start doubting yourself. But anyway, let's read ahead. So this is Bengaluru. Explosion. Epsilon Society was inundated. This is September 6, 2022 report. With floodwater gushing into homes, residents, several of them billionaires, had to be rescued in boats. So they are really only worried about, Anyway, 10 minutes of rain makes Sushma Vemaganti from Bovenapalli in Hyderabad anxious. Our basement and apartment flood, and then the power goes out. We can't step out. The stories are a pattern across cities where bursts of extreme rainfall in short periods trigger intense waterlogging. Mumbai's 944 millimeter rainfall in 24 hours on July 26, 2005 was an exception and one of the worst weather events in the country. Funny thing was, there was one place where this 944 millimeter rain happened. Another location in Mumbai had barely 100 millimeters of rain. So you can see how difficult it can be to predict these things, remembering also that rain is a key ingredient to flooding, but there are many other factors including human land use, etc. Right? Today most cities are struggling with far less. Even an hour of intense rain submerges streets and halts traffic, says B.S. Vora, president of East Delhi's RWA's Joint Front. Meteorologists have recorded a threefold rise in the monsoon's intensity since 1950, which makes flooding both more dangerous and unpredictable. Climate researcher Roxy Matthew Cole from IITM Pune said the rise in extreme rainfall events over a region where total monsoon rainfall is decreasing makes it catastrophic. So total seasonal rainfall make you think there aren't going to be floods, but less rain now comes in a very short period, then you get heavy rainfall. Weather forecaster Atreya Shetty said monthly rainfall averages are now being met within days. Delhi's Safdarjung area logged 228.1 millimeter on June 28, 2024, the highest single-day rainfall for the month since 1936. Remember that climate change, global warming tends to load the dice, so once in a 100-year event may become once in 50 years or once in 20 years. Okay, just because it happened in 1936 before doesn't mean it's not related to global warming, so you have to be careful. Drain on the economy, some numbers: 14,000 crore rupees what Mumbai lost to floods from 2005 to 2015. 35% live within a 250 meter buffer of flooding hotspots. The Brahan Mumbai Corporation does a fantastic job of tracking hotspots and managing floods, but of course it's a mega city with over 20 million people living in a very small area, so it's got a lot of problems. 200 crore for those who are not from India is basically 10 million. We have lakh, which is 100,000, 10 lakhs, and then we don't have a million, we say crore, which is 100 lakhs. 225 crore rupees losses incurred by Bengaluru firms in 2022 alone when rain shut its ring road for days. Silicon Valley of India is in Bengaluru, so it's got a lot of exposure. 5,000 crore rupees was the financial toll of the 2020 Hyderabad floods. Most of the damage was within 2 days, and 10,000 plus industries lost a total of 1,700 crore in 2015 Chennai floods, which was a real showpiece for how a disaster can happen in an urban center where a lot of factors come together, including covering up natural lakes and the runoff pathways and so on. 50,000 people lost their jobs, so that really hits the pocketbook. So what are the reasons? Hit by sponge effect. How does this happen? It's the air's sponge effect. For every 1 degree C rise in temperature, atmosphere can hold about 7% more moisture. It has a compounding effect when combined with the monsoon winds that carry vast amounts of moisture from the Indian Ocean. We then have an increasingly erratic monsoon and more intense individual rainfall events. Shetty said, on the ground, heavy downpours overwhelm outdated stormwater drains almost everywhere. Natural drainage channels are slowly disappearing under massive stretches of concrete, but also remember a lot of garbage clogs them, but BMC does a valiant job of clearing them up before the monsoon and during the monsoon, sometimes based on heavy rainfall forecasts. And Also, you have to remember the rainfall rates. These old cities were designed were sometimes one order of magnitude smaller than what we are getting now, which means retrofitting may be needed, and that's not always easy. The risk of urban flooding peaks when garbage blocks drains, conduits, and catch pits, even though cities should ideally be able to cope with 100 mm rainfall rather than grind to a standstill. At least 10 locations in Ahmedabad experienced waterlogging for up to 4 days in August 2024 because debris clogged the drains. Municipal bodies must upgrade stormwater drainage systems, Bengaluru-based urban planner Vishwanath Shrikantaya said, but cities have ignored such planning and now struggle with waterlogging. In the national capital, many stormwater outlets are covered and cannot be desilted. Former Delhi professor A.K. Gusain said. Geographic Information System consultant and civil engineer Dayanand Krishnan pointed to poor slope, reverse gradients or abrupt ends in Chennai's stormwater drains. Water then stagnates after 30-40 millimeter of rain, which is not much at all. In Hinjewadi, Pune's IT hub, insufficient drains and built over nallas, which are these gutters, let's say, caused waterlogging in June. Resident Ashutosh Pandey said runoff now pools on the roads. This is the effect of construction without planning. Nalas are also natural runways of waters that are kind of not built up. They are just vegetated, go through neighborhoods, often collect too much garbage, especially during the non-rainy seasons, which is almost 9 months, right? Mumbai has overhauled its systems, but struggling with flooding when heavy rain coincides with 4 meters of high tides. The Arabian Sea rolls into the Mithi River, causing a reverse flow. Additional Municipal Commissioner of Projects, Abhijit Bangar, said, I have met this young man, incredibly impressive in terms of the 360-degree view he has of managing floods, from early warnings to hard and soft infrastructures, people, workforce, etc. Okay, so sickness breeds when water collects. Urban flooding is a serious threat to public health in India. Large cities often experience spikes in dengue, typhoid, chikungunya, and leptospirosis cases whenever water collects or it is contaminated. So there are the externalities of how, even if you manage floods, the worst of the damages, you can still end up with health issues. So from 2010 to 2023, dengue numbers have jumped from about 28,000 to 289,000. So total suspected and confirmed cases nationwide of chikungunya from 2018 to 2024 have gone from 67,569 to 258,110. Not much to say there other than to realize that there are massive risk factors. So managing health during floods is a separate issue, but still needs early warnings and health facilities, reducing exposure and reducing vulnerabilities, etc. Typhoid enteric fever analysis by experts from the CMC Vellore and other institutes showed India had 1 crore, so 10 million cases of typhoid fever in 2021, half of the worldwide total that year, which is not something to be proud of course. Leptospirosis, some 45 Indian districts have had outbreaks between 2017 and 2021. One Kerala study revealed a link between flooding and leptospirosis, finding that cases were higher in flooded years, so 2018 and 19 for example, than in the non-flooded year of 2017. Villages in the state with leptospirosis rose from 68 in 2017 to 105 in 2018, but fell back to 89 in 2019. And the loss of lakes. This is always a big story for Bengaluru as well. Waterlogging can be addressed. It needs flood-resilient options. Environmentalists said governments can conserve water bodies that are buffer zones. Our research correlates the loss of hundreds of lakes and ponds to the increase in urban flooding, said Sushmita Sengupta of the Delhi-based Center for Science and Environment CSE. Other studies find similar patterns. National Institute of Advanced Studies and Greater Bengaluru Parisara Foundation noted that 200% increase in construction since 1995, with drainage systems encroached upon or erased. Economic growth is sometimes, rushed, unplanned, not very well thought out, optimized for the changing climate, which is constantly changing the risk profiles. While the Wetland Authority of Delhi located only 631 of the listed 1045 water bodies, Ahmedabad's lake count dropped from 603 in 99 to just 122 in 2025, and Chennai has almost lost its marshes and water protection systems altogether. Old residents like Godfrey Pimenta of Watchdog Foundation said lakes and ponds in Mumbai have been reclaimed for construction. This is a constant battle between developers who keep working with the government to get past some regulations and enforcements and zoning and so on. So corruption is always part of the problem. Srikantaya said Bengaluru's main stadium was built on a lake bed decades ago. No one imagined we would see 300 millimeter of rainfall days, 300 millimeter rainfall days, or a population of 14 million. So you can see how unplanned or not foreseeing the future can lead you into a ditch like it has done in all these cities. Ecological researcher T.V. Ramachandra faulted Hyderabad's high-rise is constructed on buffer zones and water bodies for inundation, while environmentalist B.V. Subbarao linked it to poor percolation and excessive concreting. The other problem is debris choking several lakes, Hydra Commissioner A.V. Ranganath said, while public policy expert Narsimha Rao Donti said Hyderabad relaxed building permissions that encouraged rampant construction. Pune-based sustainable development expert Anita Gokhale, Pune-based sustainable development expert Anita Gokhale Benninger felt it compromises natural drainage. I am having caffeine deficiency. One way to right the wrong is to stop building permissions until civic bodies build robust drainage networks, but that's not how it works. IT firms grow, people move in, need housing, developers see an opportunity, and they do what they have to do to occupy land and build things. And we all are part of this problem anyway. Solutions come from other quarters. Ahmedabad has set aside 5,619 crores in its 2025-26 budget to transform the city into a net zero climate resilient city. A lot of cities now have climate action plans as well as heat action plans, but flood action plans are not that common because it takes much more work to do infrastructures for flood management, mitigation, recovery, etc. 5 red flags and fixes. 1. Lack of current topography maps. Updated data can help plan locations for stormwater channels. So-called digital elevation maps are very hard to get. Paving over floodplains and wetlands. Reclaim and limit construction in sponge zones. Ineffective drainage. Augment and boost capacity. When you obviously pave cities and don't build in enough rain gardens and other ways to soak the water from heavy rains, then it just can run into zones and create flood hotspots. Concreting surge, more green and open spaces, population growth, more satellite townships so that not everybody congregates into city centers, but then there are other issues in terms of commuting in and out. Without a proper growth in public transportation, you will create massive traffic jams as well. Cities need future plans. Director of School of Planning and Architecture in Delhi, Virendra Kumar Paul, and conservation experts Janaki Rajan S. from Chennai and Kalpana Ramesh in Hyderabad said cleaning up water bodies, preserving open areas, creating sponge parks, and reviving step wells could lower flooding. So often we know what the solutions are, but bringing them back is always tricky. It takes basically mainstreaming all these into budget so that there is sustained funding to continue those activities and not run them in a project mode. Civic bodies must rethink the frenzy to expand, urban planners said. Too much concrete makes them ill-equipped to handle climate change. Runoff is rapid on hard surfaces and overwhelms stormwater systems. Hyderabad-based urban climate researcher E. Sabrinath said glass and concrete buildings add up to the heat island effect, escalating flooding, so warmer atmosphere, more moisture, but the urban heat island also has impacts on storms that are passing through. Some cities are waking up to the problem. Chennai is focusing on desilting and cleaning water bodies, stormwater drains and catch pits. Municipal Commissioner J. Gurubaran said, and Delhi will soon have a new drainage master plan according to its former Chief Secretary Naresh Kumar. Bengaluru is mapping flood-prone zones and upgrading stormwater drains with World Bank support. Hyderabad has 50 structures to store rainwater. Mumbai has 500 dewatering pumps holding tanks to counter the high tide intense rain effect and trash booms. So Mumbai wants forecasts of heavy rains at 15-minute advance notice so they can run these pumps and do a good job, and they are paying attention to our forecast because they are experiencing that we have been reliable this season. Answers may also lie in some fresh thinking. Pune-based architect Kiran Kalamdani said satellite towns can be developed instead of forcing growth on big cities, but I would say there are other issues that have to be thought out for that as well. Experts TOI spoke to agreed that civic bodies must use technology to minimize climate change devastation. They suggested satellite-derived digital elevation models for informed urban planning, investing in water level indicators, flow meters in drains, and public dashboards on water discharge. So last season we installed 9 water level indicators. Only 2 are functioning, I think, right now. So maintaining them, security, etc., is not easy. Even getting permission to install them can take a while based on the system. We still design our cities for the rains of the past, but today's downpours are heavier, faster, and tomorrow's will be worse. We have the data and the capacity. We must climate equip our planning. As I said, this is from Roxy Matthew Cole. As I said, this needs to be worked with the decision makers who know exactly why science and data cannot just go directly into decision making. So I wanted to quote one person there, but let me see. This creates problem. It's somehow dropping me, hopefully not destroying my okay, anyway, let me stop here and we'll come back and continue. Okay, hopefully it didn't destroy my recording.